What is up, Rad Family? We are back again today with another creepy video. So similar to the last video I posted where we covered spooky 2-sentence horror stories, today we are going to explore the internet for some of the scariest things kids have said to their parents. So let's just jump into the pure nightmare fuel that is the unfiltered imagination of little kids. So let's get to it. When my son was about 4 or 5, we were in the toilet before his bedtime and he was brushing his teeth and he dropped his toothbrush and I picked it up for— wow, do they have punctuation? I was like waiting to breathe and I'm like, oh, there are no periods in this. He dropped his toothbrush and I picked it up for him, and when my eyes met him, he just stared at me and said, "Dad, why does that man have a knife?" And pointed behind me. Quickest 180 I've ever done. I know when I was a kid, I said some scary stuff. Like, obviously, you have an imagination, you don't know what to filter out. So, like, creepy things are going to come out of kids' mouths, right? But, like, that instance right there, if that was real, I probably would have peed myself. I definitely would have peed myself. When my youngest daughter was 3 and I went into her room at bedtime to tuck her in, I walked up to her bed and noticed that the floor was wet. I asked her why the floor was wet and she told me I was spitting at the fog people. It makes them go away. She did this numerous times. Scared the shit out of me. Ew. That's gross. I mean, that's a lot of spit to make the floor wet. That's all I'm just gonna say. But fog people, I've never heard of that, and that sounds like a new type of monster. That sounds pretty darn terrifying. But I wonder, like, are they also grossed out by spit? And that's what made them go away? Because respect. When my daughter was 3, one day she said to me, "Don't you remember, Mommy? Before, when you were the daughter and I was the mother, they came and chopped off all our heads. Chop, 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 chop. The whole village." She made vicious chopping motions every time she said the word chop. I was so taken aback, all I could think to say was, "Fortunately, sweetheart, I don't remember the head chopping." Her response was, "Well, it happened, and I remember it really well." So inevitably, little kids are going to say some pretty spooky, weird things. I mean, they have an overactive imagination, they don't have a filter. I'm sure it's just gonna happen, you know? But going off of like the idea of like reincarnation and like recalling past lives, some people think kids, since they're, I guess, newer, or better put, since it hadn't been so long since like their previous life, that they can recall more than an adult can. And it also has to go with like just they're more like open and accepting of recalling past information. Again, that's just like a theory. But going with that theory, I think makes these so much creepier, especially ones when they talk about like ghosts that like turned out to be like previous owners, and or like when they talk about like how they died or how someone else died or how someone's gonna die. Like that is just so terrifying. It makes the hair, like I have actual like, can I show you guys? I don't think I can. My camera's not that good. Like I actually have goosebumps. My hair is like actually standing up. I was heading to the bathroom on the 2nd floor of my aunt's house when I saw my cousin April on the stairs. April was 4 and very animated. She was busy making funny faces while sitting on the stairs. I asked her what she was doing. She said, "I'm copying the lady in the braids." I looked around. There was no one else but us. I asked, "Where's the lady, April?" She pointed to a beam running parallel on the stairwell. I don't even like the way this is going, man. I asked April, "What is the lady doing?" She said, "Making funny faces." I smiled and started walking up the stairs again when April said something that stopped me in my tracks, and that stopped me from reading. "Her braids is around her neck. I turned back and asked April to repeat herself. April pointed. The lady is hanging by her braid. She's making funny faces. Then April started making a face, which I then realized was someone gasping for air. Okay, would never, ever, 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 ever in a million years go back to the house, and probably never, ever, ever, ever be around April by myself ever again. My 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while, then turned and looked at me and said, Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it. I would be a little concerned. Okay, I'd be a lot concerned. My daughter said to me that there is a woman who watches her watch movies in her room and sleeps on the ceiling above her bed when she sleeps. She also says it does not like me and wants to eat my heart. My kid watches Elmo and Dinosaur Train. Where in the hell did she get this from? Where the hell did she get that from? Oh my god. That's like some possessed little demon shit going on. When my son was 3, he came and climbed into bed with us, crying. I asked what was wrong. He said that the big fat man with a bloody hole in his head kept trying to open his window. Ooh, I can't even finish reading that. That is so scary. I can just picture it so clearly. Like, that is so scary. Like, that's so descriptive. But, like, you'd have to take it seriously. But then again, they're only 3, so it's like, where would they even come up with that? I don't know, man. I would not be sleeping that night. I don't even think I'm sleeping tonight, and that didn't even happen to me. My 3-year-old daughter said, You're the best mommy I've had so far. I said, I am the only mommy you had. As she walked away, she said, That's what all the other mommies said too. I mean, that's not really that creepy. I mean, if you believe in, like, reincarnation, that really isn't creepy. As she said, you're the best. Like, if anything, that's a compliment. Before I was born here, I had a sister, right? Her and my other mommy are so old now. They were okay when the car was on fire. But I sure wasn't. What? Yeah, I would have to have her repeat that a few times, and then probably say to somebody else, just to make sure I was actually hearing her correctly. I was tucking in my 2-year-old. He said, Goodbye, Dad. I said, No, we say goodnight. He said, I know, but this time it's goodbye. Yeah, I would probably be wide awake that night just to make sure my kid isn't like a psychic. Go back to sleep. There isn't anything under your bed. He's behind you now. What is that little kid seeing that that parent is not? Then again, do you want to know? I don't. I'm good not knowing if something's behind me. Besides that damn doll. My toddler went through a phase where she would just constantly say hi to things. Hi, 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 hi. One day, it came out sounding more like die, die, die. So I say to her, What's that you're saying? And she turns her face to me and just whispers, Die. Do you have a phone number for a preacher? You know, an exorcist, maybe? I think you might need that phone number. My kid's Catholic school is over 100 years old. There is a basement under the gym that's used for storage, because every damn old building has a creepy ass basement. It's like it had to. I was subbing once, and during recess, one of the kickballs goes down the stairs. A little girl was standing at the top of the stairs yelling, Just throw it up to me. I went over and asked her who she was talking to, and she replied, That big man down the stairs. I went down, and there was nobody down there, and it was the only way in. I can't. I don't even want my brain to process that story, or else I will have nightmares. I think it's too late. I'm gonna have nightmares now. Oh, there's more. It wasn't even done. I asked some of the other kids if they had seen the man before, and they said yes, but Sister told us not to talk to him. I asked them to describe Sister, and they described a nun. And there haven't been nuns at the school in 40 years. It got worse. I should have known it was going to get worse. Well, you know, on the bright side, at least they have one nice ghost and one not sounding nice ghost, probably. So maybe they cancel each other out. You know, maybe you see the nice ghost a little more than you see the not nice ghost. This happened not to me, but to his grandmother. He was cuddling with her and being very sweet. He was about 3 at the time. He takes her face in his hands and brings his face close to hers. Then tells her that she's very old and will die soon. Then he makes a point of looking at the clock. Well, that's just rude. That's not even scary. That's just rude. Okay, I take that back. Looking at the clock though, that's kind of scary. When my youngest, around 5 at the time, once drew a picture of a black monster, looked up at me and said, "He told me to draw this. He's coming for you. You better hide." Again, the goosebumps, they just don't stop. This whole video, a goosebump after goosebump after goosebump. They don't go away. I would hide. I would hide very well with all the lights on, all the doors locked. If you have ever heard a kid say something creepy to you, whether you are its parent or not, leave it down in the comments below. I would love to read some more because I like scary things. And if you're new to this channel and want to join the Ratastic community that is the Rat Fam, like the pillow says, subscribe and turn on my notifications and all that jazz so that you are notified when the next creepy video goes live. So until next time, keep the radness, and I'll see you all soon. Bye! I applaud all these parents for keep on parenting after their kids say some scary ass to them. You are the real MVPs.